Welcome to the Quinnipiac Launchpad competition. I'm really excited. My name is Dave Tomczyk, and I'm one of the co-teachers for this class. Let me hand this off to my co-teacher, John Hood, to describe what the class is.
Hey everybody, welcome. My name is John Hood, and not only am I the co-teacher of this class, but I'm also an alumni of this course. I took this class with Professor Tomczyk as my teacher back in 2011. In the second iteration, there was a total of 4 teams that competed, way less than we have tonight. And it changed my life. And I'm so happy I'm able to come back and now do the same for my students tonight. So the way this class is built is it's a 15-week high intensive course where we warn the students this will be the toughest class that they take at Quinnipiac. We give them this fair warning because we expect an extremely high level of work from them. Some students come in with their business ideas, some students come in with their skill set. The first 2 weeks, we have an elevator pitch round where they pitch either their idea to each other or they pitch their skill set. Once we complete those rounds, the round of elevator pitches, we move on to formulating the teams. The teams formulate and we move, the teams move on and they build out a business plan in PowerPoint form. We refer to them as granular decks. These granular decks are worked on for the next 6 weeks before they are submitted to a first round panel of judges. The judges you see here tonight are not the first round judges. The first round judges then selected the top 6 teams of the 9 teams that submitted their decks to compete in the Quinnipiac Launchpad competition. Now I'm going to hand it over to Dave, and he's going to describe exactly how the competition works. Go ahead, Dave.
Cool. So first, let me introduce our judges, because for this competition, for the presentation, we have 5 excellent judges who have all volunteered their time. First is Bill Platt. Bill Platt is a QU alumni and also on our board of trustees. He's a retired deputy managing partner of professional practice and retired deputy chief quality officer for Deloitte & Touche. Bill was a longtime member and the former chairman of the School of Business Advisory Board and currently chairs the President's Advisory Board. He earned his bachelor's degree in accounting and served as an adjunct faculty member at Quinnipiac. He is incredibly well known for his engagement in the community and giving back. So thank you, Bill, for being part of this. Stella Ma is our next judge. She's a technology executive and entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience in management, strategy, product development, marketing, and operations across startups and Fortune 500 companies. Most recently, Stella was the co-CEO and co-founder of Little Passports, a high-growth, direct-to-consumer brand inspiring kids to learn about the world. She led the company from inception to mass-scale shipping over 10 million packages worldwide. Immediately prior to Little Passports, Stella held executive roles at eBay during a period of hypergrowth. She managed the multi-billion-dollar consumer electronics and computer categories and led product marketing for consumer trust. Stella was honored as a 2019 EY Entrepreneur of the Year for Northern California semi-finalist for her leadership at Little Passports. She holds a BA magna cum laude in East Asian Studies from Harvard University. She's excited to help mentor and support the next generation of entrepreneurs. Thank you so much, Stella, for being part of this. Next up is one of our longtime judges, Rich Hanley. Rich Hanley is an associate journalism professor and assistant professor of medical services in the Netter MD School of Medicine and co-director of sports studies. Prior to joining Quinnipiac in 2001, Professor Hanley worked for national global media companies, guiding the transition from print to digital and developing new approaches to news coverage with an emphasis on data analysis and presentation. He has been a judge since the start of this class, which was 10 years ago, and he's just an all-around amazing and super supportive person. Thank you so much, Rich, for coming back and being a judge again. Next up is Paige Weber. So Paige is a QU alum, not only of the school, but also of this class. Last year, she was part of this class. She attended QU as an occupational therapy major and then became, or prior to taking this class, she became a sales rep for Cutco in 2018. She opened up a branch office as a college student in 2019. Her office sold over $370,000 and finished at number 2 in the nation. And now she has the Bain Somerset County, New Jersey district manager for vector marketing Cutco Cutlery in December 2019. Her office has done over $1.3 million for the year, despite COVID. she's just done incredible things leading her team. She is the #1 district manager in the company, has recruited over 300 representatives for the year, is the fastest rising star in Cutco's history, surpassing $2 million in sales in 2 years. And she broke the national record for first-year district manager. So needless to say, getting her during this time period was awesome. So thank you so much for coming back, Paige. And our final person is Brendan Hines. Brendan is a vice president with Deutsche Bank. He completed his undergraduate and MBA at St. John's University. He worked for the NFL Alumni Association, where he discussed benefits and retirement options with former NFL players and coaches. Now he works with Deutsche Bank, where he has been promoted twice in the last 4 years during their in their international private bank division, which is just absolutely meteoric. And in his current role, he is an advisor on cash solutions to ultra high net worth clients and family offices. So thank you, Brendan, for being part of this too. So now that we've introduced our judges, let's talk about the format of the competition. The timing is going to be incredibly strict. Each team will have 7 minutes to present. Judges will have 4 minutes for Q&A. And then you as the audience get to have 2 minutes of Q&A. In the bottom of your screen, you will see that there is a Q&A button. And if you click on that, there's an option for you to type in questions. We'll be selecting questions from that to ask during the 2 minutes for Q&A. All time is strictly enforced, which means we'll cut off the teams even if they're mid-sentence. And then after the time has passed, the next team will queue up and go. All team members must participate in their team's presentation, but all team members don't have to present equally in the presentation. So in some, you will see that one person presents a bit more than others. The judges, after the first 6 presentations, will have 15 minutes to deliberate. And during this time, we will have 2 teams compete in our 11th hour competition. These 2 teams will have 7 minutes to present and 2 minutes for audience Q&A. Again, all time will be strictly enforced. And then you as the audience get to vote for who wins the 11th hour competition, and you get to vote for who is your audience favorite. So let's talk about the prizes that they can win with this. First place is $3,000. Then $2,000, $1,000, $500, $500, and $250 for our first 6 teams. The 11th hour competition is $250 as well. And then the audience favorite is $1,000, thanks to a donation from a generous backer. So we are super excited about this. And you can see that the teams definitely would like this money because so many of them need it in order to help them launch their businesses. So without further ado, we are going to start with our first team's presentation. Oops, stop share. Our first team presentation today is Munch.
Hi, my name is Matthew Flint, and I'm the founder of Munch, the restaurant reviewing revolution. And you'll hear from my teammates, William Avery, Forrest Bishop, and Jasmine Malo, later on in this presentation. But enough for introductions. Let's introduce you to the problem that plagues the restaurant industry right now. So I'm an avid foodie. I've been taking pictures of my food and leaving reviews all over the internet since I got my first smartphone. But all of these services have the same problem. They have a one-dimensional, generic system for rating restaurants. It's just out of 5. I have to look through tens of reviews every time I go onto one of their apps before deciding if I want to even go to that restaurant. These reviews are inaccurate and they have a plethora of problems. But on top of that, as a reviewer, I'm not incentivized to leave a good review. In fact, most of these services incentivize leaving bad reviews that only indicate the problems that these restaurants have. This means the restaurants have to work harder in order to even get somebody to leave a good or even constructive review. The community is incentivized to be toxic, and that's why you see examples of this all over different services. It's a one-sided power dynamic, and that needs to change. What's the solution? That's easy. It's Munch. Before you can see a preview of one of our restaurant previews on our app, and it shows 4 different categories, that being food quality, service, time management, and cleanliness. That one's extra important during COVID. Well, it shows some restaurant information. It lets you click on the Google Maps icon in case you want to get navigation to that restaurant, and it lets you click on something to get their phone number. As well as that, you can see that this restaurant, Celtic Cavern, has a very good score because all of these are out of 5, like other services. However, just from looking at this, you can tell more information than you can from looking at 10 reviews on Yelp, TripAdvisor, so on. For now, let's go to Will with the competitive analysis.
In the restaurant review industry, Yelp is today's biggest player. The way that we refine our reviews into graded criteria and sort them based on timeliness creates a more productive community where even the most disgruntled reviewer can leave behind valuable data to the restaurant and less of a permanent demerit on their reputation. TripAdvisor expanded into restaurant reviews from the tourism industry using Yelp's out of 5 template. Munch stands apart by focusing specifically on restaurant reviews and innovating them. Our password protection and data encryption, for example, help us avoid data breaches that TripAdvisor has suffered from. The Google Reviews interface is simple enough for anyone to navigate, but they lack details and they don't prioritize the most informative reviews. So on Munch, you can browse according to your preferences and be informed at first glance. Forrest, tell us about marketing.
Well, we can build this great app, but what's most important is getting users to use it regularly. The first way that we're going to be going about this is using Google Ads. This is to ensure that Munch appears above the competition on relevant Google searches. Secondly, we're going to be sponsoring food-based YouTubers who are going to mention us in the beginning of their videos, hopefully converting their subscribers to Munchers. We're also going to be mailing out free stickers for users who give feedback. These stickers, once affixed onto laptops and other items, will act as additional marketing for Munch. And lastly, airplane banners over high traffic areas and billboards next to major highways will provide additional marketing for Munch. Now on to Jasmine for the monetization.
So our first revenue generator is our restaurant affiliate program. For a one-time $50 fee, they will gain a boost of advertising, viewing visual analytics, and the ability to cash a user's coupon through the app. After cashing in 50 discounts, they will be able to buy a cost-reduced advertisement. Next, Munch offers the restaurant analytics subscription. For only $40 a month, they will have a customizable dashboard that will show all of the review data, which will help them understand the trajectory going forward. Also, with our restaurant advertising, restaurants will be able to buy top search results in the restaurant genres in the area, and the paper push notifications will help intrigue customers. Lastly, Munch offers the Munchie Pass. For only $5 a month, this pass will give users more chances at larger discounts, allowing them to get 5% off at any Munch affiliated restaurant, making it so easy to save. Now on to Matt for the demo.
And sorry about that. I forgot that I wasn't sharing my screen, but you'll see that in this part of the presentation anyway. So we have a simple map-based interface where you get to see a couple restaurants around you. There's right now McDonald's as well as Celtic Cavern, but first I ate at McDonald's today, so let's go there. We're going to write a review and we're going to go for the dine-in. The food was, it's fast food, but it's fine. I'll give it a 4. Service lacking as usual for fast food restaurants, 3. Time management, ultra fast, 5. Then a 3 for cleanliness. I'll type that in, submit the review, and then it's all the way at the top. You'll notice it's also green. Now that's why that's one of the differences we have. We have a value-based system, meaning green reviews are written within the last month and they are worth 1 of themselves. Yellow reviews, lower on the list, were written within the last 6 months, but later than the last 4 weeks. They're worth 0.8 of a green review. Grayed out reviews have no text, but they do include the numeric values given by the reviewer, and they're worth half of a green review. We'll go back to the homepage and we'll look at Celtic Cavern now. They are dine-in only. So when you go to write a review, your dining experience only includes dine-in. With this, you can also check out their whole page, which includes a bunch of reviews and what I was talking about before, their page right here that shows how they're rated. As you can see, it's much easier to navigate than other reviewing apps, and it shows without even looking at the reviews, you can tell that they're doing well in the 4 aspects I briefly detailed. Back to the presentation for everybody's favorite part, the projected financials. So, as you can tell from our profit graph to the right, we have a bit of stagnation in our first 18 to 20 months. This is because that $2 million of revenue that we're not showing here is going straight into the costs of our business and into the marketing of this app. Marketing is really important, and it's going to lead us to that exponential growth curve you see later on in that graph. As well as that, we are increasing these marketing expenses as time goes on, doubling it at the 24-month mark, and at the 28-month mark, more than tripling it. The investment sought is going to be $100,000 of a $100,000 of a loan that will be repaid to the investors, as well as 5% stake in the company for investing into Munch. This will be worth more than $600,000 by the end of the third year, meaning they are more than making back what they put in. Thank you from all of us at Munch, and my contact information is below.
Excellent. Thank you, Munch. And now it is time for the judges Q&A. Judges, you have 4 minutes.
Hi guys, this is Brendan Hines. Just a quick question. You guys mentioned that as a partner, the restaurants can receive data analytics from you. What aside from the ratings might they be receiving to help out their business?
So with the basic affiliation fee, they're going to be receiving current stats based off of the reviews that they received in that month period, meaning you're only receiving a portion of the history. When you get the analytics subscription, you're able to see over time analytics, as well as people that frequently go to your restaurant and how their opinion of their restaurant changes over time. So let's say on the first is they have a great time at your restaurant, and the second it dips, you get to see that review and see why, being able to narrow it down to a very granular amount, as well as expand it when necessary. That's not what you get with the affiliation. That's only with the analytics pass, though, to clarify.
Okay.
Hi, Rich Hanley. The YouTube marketing plan looks really, really good, but does that privilege national restaurant chains over local restaurants? Because YouTube influencers generally are trying to expand their audience to a global stage as opposed to local. And how would you manage to get local restaurants mentions with global or national YouTube influencers?
The YouTube sponsorships were specifically for our app to perpetuate our growth. So that's only going to be bringing Munch to the table and, you know, paying them commission fees more or less based off of how many people they get to sign up for the app. Restaurants are able to get advertising only through the app.
It's Bill. Just a question. I noticed that by the end of 36 months, you indicate that you'd have over 7 million users of the app and about 7,000 restaurants. I'm just curious in terms of compared to other apps, is 7 million a lot or a little? And how many restaurants are in the United States, for example, at 7,000? Is it 10% of them or is it 80% of them?
So for our financial statement, what you're referencing, we indicated that we would have about 7,000 restaurants, and that is a little less than 1% of the amount of restaurants in the United States. I wanted to use very conservative estimates as to not inflate what our growth would look like. That was difficult to do with our graph, as I'm sure you can tell, because it is basically going straight up into an exponential growth curve. But 7 million users, to answer that question, is also kind of middle of the branch in terms of different apps. Some of these apps, Yelp, for instance, has over 20 million users, and TripAdvisor has over 50 million. But they are much broader markets than Munch would be. Munch would be only for restaurant reviews, and that's part of what differentiates us.
Okay, thank you. And then do you think having less than 1% of the restaurants is attractive to a user from utilization of the app perspective?
So our growth is going to be geographic in nature. So we're going to be expanding in cities primarily at first, trying to get as many as we possibly can. And because they're more densely populated, we'll also be able to get a plethora of new users that way. Getting users on board is going to be our first step, which is why we're going to be targeting them a lot more with the initial marketing. Once we get that, we will then go to restaurants instead and start marketing towards them with this huge user base to give them analytic data they can't find anywhere else.
Hey, Matthew, this is Stella. How are you thinking about, it's always hard to jumpstart these types of businesses, especially in a consumer app. How are you thinking about which geographical location you would start off in?
So I've actually lived in a couple different parts of the country, so I have connections to places like California, New York, Maryland, and I have friends in Florida even. I want to start this as a homegrown thing with people recommending their friends, frequent reviewers, to start using the app. From there, we are also going to be targeting people with billboards in these high traffic areas, such as like the Circuit Highway in Baltimore that everybody drives by to go to work. Then on top of that, banners in vacation places such as Myrtle Beach and the coast, the surfing coasts in California.
And that's the time we have for questions. Sorry to cut you off, Paige. We're over by a minute, but that's all the time we have for questions.
I'd be happy to answer any questions if you want to contact me as well.
Okay, from the audience, we have a core question that seems to come up multiple times. How does a restaurant handle a false review with your format?
So the good thing about our review system is it tiers reviews. And a part of that we didn't get to mention because of the length of our presentation being relatively short is only active users will be able to have green reviews. When you log out of the app for like the bots problem that Yelp and TripAdvisor have had where bots will go in and leave reviews, anytime somebody logs out of the app completely, all of those reviews will be instantly grayed, and there will be a system where restaurants can basically not petition, but they can send a request to our help desk, as it were, to have a review removed. Then it will be looked at by some of our personnel, and from there, it can be removed or it stays, depending on accuracy of information.
Totally fair. And someone was noting that this is very similar to Open Table. How do you differentiate yourself?
Okay, so OpenTable was actually one of the best examples of a good reviewing app. They actually did have a tier where it was an out of 5, and then under that there were different aspects you could grade by. The issue with them is you have to set a reservation with them from their app to use their app. That's one of the biggest downfalls and why they only have about 5 million, I believe it was, active users as of this summer, 2020, the summer of 2020. We will be able to grow better than them because we're not forcing people to go through our app to make reservations, and they don't need a reservation to leave a review.
And final question is, do restaurants have to sign up to be reviewed by users?
No. So what will happen is, unlike Yelp and TripAdvisor and a couple of those other ones, you don't have to get affiliated for your restaurant to pop up, and you don't even have to get affiliated to change the information for your restaurant. A lot of people are disgruntled at Yelp by this for obvious reasons. But for us, you have to show a valid certificate of your business, the business license. And with that, we actually allow them to change their information.
Okay. Thank you very much, Munch. And judges, feel free to finish off your evaluations for the teams. Next up, we have Solo Stage. Also, for the audience, a reminder, you can ask questions for any of the teams. The Q&A button is down in the center of your screen. So at any time that you have questions, feel free to hit that Q&A button.
Thank you so much for your time, everyone.
We good? Good to go? How we doing? I'm Will De Palma, and this is DJ Sloan, and this is our company called Solo Stage VR. Have you ever wished you could perform live in front of a screaming crowd? Of course you can. What am I saying? Solo Stage VR is the world's first fully inclusive live music performance that allows you to be on stage playing your instrument. Our passion for this idea came from our love for music, playing the guitar every day. So the problems we have for our customers is first the everyday musician. That's someone like DJ and myself. We love playing guitar. Wish we could play in front of a big audience, but the reality is it probably won't happen. Second, we have the aspiring artist. This is somebody who has the ability to perform live. Things like stage fright might be holding them back. For the classical musician, the classical music world is very competitive. Auditioning is a big part of that, and that can be a hindrance on people's getting the job they want. There's no need to worry though. SoloStage has the solution to all these problems. The everyday musician, like us, we want to play, we want to use the program to have fun, get better at our instrument, and live the dream we had. For the aspiring artist, this is a way to get better at performing live and perform better with our program. The classical musician, this is the first tool that can help them excel in auditions. For early adopters, we know they're going to be young to middle-aged musicians who are comfortable using technology, have a skill level between intermediate and advanced, and they'll get the best out of our product. The target market for VR is booming. There's over 130 million prospective users out there, and that's going to grow every year. For our interface, on the left, we have the start screen. You hit start and it welcomes your create your own concert. Venue, crowd size, environment. You choose venue and it brings you to our 6 options we have right now. Stadium, the amphitheater, a music hall, outdoor, and then we have club and audition. After you choose what venue fits you, you hit next, and that's going to bring you to your crowd size. Here, anything between small to large, and then we also have an option for the panel. After choosing next, we're going to go to the crowd environment. We have realistic to an audience, leaning on mistakes, and always positive. After hitting begin, that'll start your experience.
In our survey specifically targeted towards musicians, we found that 75.2% of respondents had a positive reaction to our business idea. And in our more exclusive survey that targeted specifically musicians who had previously performed in front of a live audience, we found that 76% of respondents felt like our technology would help them overcome their stage fright. Our marketing plan will start with 6 different approaches. First, we will tour around the country to places like music festivals, concerts, instrument stores, and places like Nashville with high concentrations of musicians, allowing people to gain exposure to our new technology. Next, we will seek out professional artists to do video demonstrations of themselves using the SoloStage VR app. And finally, we will work with a marketing team who will help us build our website, acquire email marketing lists, perform search engine optimization, and run our social media platforms for us. To begin, we will start with 4 revenue streams. The first of these streams will be our VR application that will be purchased on the Oculus Quest VR gaming store. This app will be sold for $29.99 and will be the main driver of our revenues. We expect to sell 1,000 copies of this application in our first month and increase at a rate of 10% monthly. Our second stream of revenue will come from our pop-up locations. At these locations, we will sell each 10 minutes of our experience for $9.99. We expect to draw 50 customers in our first month and grow at a rate of 10% monthly. Our third revenue stream will come from licensing our VR game to VR arcades and other places where VR games are featured. Licensing will cost $50 per month, and we expect to be in 10 gaming arcades in our first month and grow at a rate of 5% monthly. And finally, for our fourth revenue stream, we will do corporate events and parties. At these events, we will charge $400 per hour and expect to start with 2 events in our first month and grow at a rate of 10% monthly. Our first competitor is Music Room VR. This experience puts users in the seat of the musician, allowing them to manipulate instruments like the piano and the guitar by moving the VR controllers to make different sounds and songs. Our second competitor, Beat Saber. Beat Saber is one of the most popular game on the Oculus Quest store and has sold approximately 2 million copies since it was released just 2 years ago at a price of $29.99. This game allows users to interact with beats of music like by slashing them with their VR controllers like dancing. And finally, our third competitor, Rock Band VR. This game allows users to experience the rock band we all know in a VR world. While each of these competitors deals with virtual reality and music, SoloStage is unique because it allows users to play their real instruments or use their real singing voices and perform live to a screaming audience of their choice. During our startup period, we'll incur just over $206,000. These expenses will include the cost of developing our VR application, the cost of marketing, the cost of employees, and the cost of incorporation. In our first year in business, our expenses will grow to approximately $487,000. And in our second year, approximately $1.3 million. And finally, in our third year, just over $3.8 million. In our first year in business, our revenues will total just over $800,000. In our second year, approximately $2.7 million. And in our third year, we expect to earn $11.3 million. Today, we are seeking investment of $206,500 in investment capital. And we here at Solo Stage would like to thank you personally for taking the time to look into our business, and we hope to hear from you soon. Rock on.
Awesome. Thank you guys, Solo Stage. We are now going to open it up to the judges for questions. Just a reminder, down in the center, if you have any questions for the team during the audience Q&A, put them down there.
Hi, it's Stella here. Thanks for the presentation. Given VR has been around for a few years now, and it hasn't made as much penetration as you might expect, what are some of the obstacles to consumer adoption? And do you guys see that changing over the next few years? And what will you do to address some of the existing obstacles?
Well, some of the obstacles that have been seen through really the past 2 or 3 decades when VR first came out is that the technology was too cumbersome and too large to really put in a small headset. And to do so, it was too expensive anyway, and it would be too heavy. So now with technology increasing every day, we're seeing new devices like the Oculus Quest 2, which is at a price point of just $299, a price point much lower than it actually should be. And that's really going to gain a lot of users into the VR world. A lot of different companies like Facebook, Google, and even Apple are spending mass amounts of money to increase user awareness and people into the VR market.
Great, thanks.
Thank you.
It's Bill, just a question on the actual music itself. Are there licensing issues or other things that need to be considered, and have you priced that in? And then also, you know, if I had an instrument, could you, I guess, zone out different instruments in the music? So like if I want to play trumpet versus guitar versus something else, and then do I get to see like sheet music so that or do I have to all play by ear?
That's a great question. So just to touch on the sheet music, that's a big problem with classical musicians. They need to be reading sheet music in front of their face in order to be able to play. We are planning on incorporating a asset into our game that would allow classical musicians and other musicians to have that ability. As for licensing songs, you can look at Beat Saber, which is one of our main competitors, and they do licensing packs on games that they release all the time. They're releasing new DLC packs that cost anywhere from $10 to $15, and I'm sure that's how they're making a good amount of their money as well. And we haven't looked into actually licensing those deals yet because we can't get in contact with the actual bands that would be licensing, but we plan on doing that. And we also plan on having a free play mode where users could just throw on any track from YouTube and be able to play themselves to it.
This is Paige. Quick question. You talked about your streams of revenue, and one of them was events. Why? So if they're like corporate events, why wouldn't they just like hire a live band? I'm not sure I understand what someone would be doing at a corporate event.
So so many places, if they're trying to have like a fun environment, they'll do karaoke or kind of a game like that. This is a chance to kind of have everyone be part of that party and be part of that environment and have fun while doing it. They have things similar to that at different events such as race simulators and like in-depth karaoke. So,
but even though they wouldn't actually be able to, they would have goggles on, so they wouldn't actually see anyone at the event.
So right, it would be more the people at the event watching the person perform, and they could see what the person is actually seeing in the VR headset on a TV screen in front of them. So while they would be, not performing to their colleagues, they would be performing in front of them, and it would be more of a whole experience for the company or the party.
So it'd probably be more of an experience for the person doing it rather than, because the people sitting there are just kind of watching them.
Yeah, they get to hear the music that's coming out of it as well. So they can hear the music being played, but the person is getting the true experience that's actually playing.
Or I guess John has to, I see you, John.
And then that is all the time we have for the judges. So on to the audience Q&A.
Okay, from the audience, we have a bunch of different questions about the equipment and how you guys get it all to interface.
Yeah, so that's something that we've been developing and working with sound engineers to create. It's honestly something that's never been done before, so it's hard to say that we have it completely figured out. But from the discussions that we've had with VR developers and sound engineers, we have concluded that it is possible, and it's going to be the first of its kind to ever, actually be a real game.
I have a question here. How do you plan to overcome the niche market your business caters to?
So, well, there's a lot of musicians around in the United States, and there's a lot of people, based on our research, we found that would be interested in using this product. And also, we would, like DJ said, offer to music schools and music colleges to help make that market grow for us. So if you can sell it to a teacher or instructor and they have a bunch of students who are in that niche market, that will be helpful for us.
For the realistic crowd, will they react positively and negatively when you're playing well and not playing well, getting louder and quieter when you get loud and quiet?
Yeah, so in our interface, we had that one slide that you choose your environment of the crowd. So you could choose always positive if you're like DJ and I and learn how to play guitar and don't want to be made fun of. But if you want to choose a realistic crowd, then that would help you perform better and learn your instrument.
And the way that we're going to implement this realistic crowd is through using an AI software that can detect correct versus incorrect notes. So the crowd will actually be able to know when you're playing well versus when you're not playing well for those musicians who are really looking for a realistic experience.
Who is your closest competition?
I would say Rock Band VR, because they, almost do the same thing, but it's just with fake instruments. Everybody knows the Rock Band guitar only has 4 buttons on it. We want real guitarists to be able to play real, any instrument, any musician to be able to play.
Fair enough.
Time we have for audience questions.
Okay, thank you, audience, for all of your great questions. In 2 minutes, it's hard to get through very many of them, but keep asking those questions. Next up, we have Hardcore Hippie.
I really appreciate it.
All right, hi there. All right. Hi, my name is Faith Ramadan. I am the creator of Hardcore Hippie, and I am a shopaholic. So Hardcore Hippie is an alternative clothing company that specializes in styling services and customization options. It is interactive, intuitive, and all-inclusive. Everybody and anybody is encouraged to come and promote their creativity and self-expression through the realm of fashion. So the biggest problems in the fashion industry right now are false advertising, fast fashion, and the alternative entry as a whole. So false advertising refers to these big name brands such as Urban Outfitters that come in and charge ridiculous prices for things they label as vintage, when in reality they are just retro and completely feeding into the fast fashion. Fast fashion is everywhere. It's everywhere you turn, it's everything you buy, it's unethical, and it's environmentally not conscious at all. A lot of pollutants come out of these factories, and a lot of people are underpaid and in poor working conditions. And we are being upcharged for that and not providing for them. And the alternative entry part is there's so many brands, there's so many products out there. It's hard to know what you're getting, and what you're getting is authentic and going to uphold over time. So the biggest solutions that I have come up with to these products are ethical sourcing. Everything for Hardcore Hippie is sourced from local thrift stores and small businesses. It really is a community aspect and a recycling kind of program. I am completely transparent about all of my products. I list all condition issues, measurements, and fit and feel of the products. And I also offer a very personal experience that tailors to each customer individually. So doing this, I have my bundling services. This is my first revenue stream, and this is where customers can come in and take a style quiz that asks about their measurements, preferences, style inspirations, and comfortability levels. And then I will take all that information and create a bundle for them and ship it out. So there are preset options to choose from. I have created an example here for you, all different aesthetics and styles. This is completely interactive buying experience, unlike anything else out there on the market right now. So the bundling service is broken down into 3 tiers. Tier 1 is $50 and comes with a few items, interchangeable items to beef up your closet. Tier number 2 is $100, and this comes with 1 full outfit and a few interchangeable pieces. And bundle tier number 3 is $150 and comes with 2 complete outfits and a few interchangeable pieces to really create the vision that you're going for. So here are a few examples of my style quiz questions. It's broken down into 3 major categories. We have general questions that talk about your measurements, price segments, and who you are as a person. I get social media to really build a profile. Style questions include inspiration, your preferences, your favorite things to really get a feel for what you want, and then your comfortability and confidence levels. This is the most important part that really talks about what you dislike, your limits, and what your goal of purchasing is. I really want customers to walk away with something they are comfortable, confident, and really happy with instead of something they're not really sure of. So here's my second revenue stream. This is my for purchase products. Here are some examples of what Hardcore Hippie currently looks like. This is a curation of vintage, retro, and all original products. Everything is perceived value priced. I do everything myself, so there's a lot that goes into it, all restoration, photography, modeling, and advertising, and that's all reflected in the price. Everything is as is, so returns are not generally accepted unless there's a problem not listed in the description. I try to be as thorough as I can to combat any return issues. I also put a lot of inspiration to help customers perceive the items and figure out what they would like to do with them. So here's some examples of satisfied customers with their products. I have over 30 sales currently as Hardcore Hippie, a 5-star rating, and an audience of about 1,000 people between my Depop and my Instagram. So customization add-ons are my third revenue stream. This is an optional service in which customers can go on and request modifications on specific items. The options are item specific. So for instance, if a customer wants this Twilight Zone shirt that's on the for purchase page, they can also go in there and see that there's an option to crop it and to bleach dye it for an additional price, really making the item their own customized, unique thing. So the market and industry, I market to anybody with a passion for alternative fashion like myself. I try to keep things attainably priced and affordable. I'm really social media based, especially Instagram. There's a big fashion community of support, and I love to support my customers and see the support in return. I'm really a fashion focused and driven platform. So compared to my competition, I have Indirect, which is other online market places and platforms, eBay, Etsy, Depop, all big things. People can go on, sell anything, be anybody, do that. And then there's Direct, which are other small businesses, especially alternative clothing companies. But compared to both of these sides of the playing field, I offer a completely interactive, unique experience. So when it comes to marketing, I do a lot of really fun marketing tactics. Here are some business cards I have created. I do everything on social media and create all original content ads. I mainly focus on inspiration that has inspired me and nostalgia factors. And I would love to partner more with small businesses within the style community to reach a larger audience and to expand and promote them too. So for operations, I do everything myself currently. I am a one-man show. I go through the uploading process all by myself. I take pictures, model, restore everything. Vintage does not always come easily packaged and ready to go. So I make sure everything is ready for the customers to purchase and feel confident with. Here's an example of my marketing techniques. When it comes to growth, I'm definitely gonna need help. Definitely. I'm gonna want to hire contractors as a way to cut down on costs. I'm also gonna have to buy storage and automate a lot of the process. So when it comes to finances, I have 3 major expenses. I have shipping, inventory, and marketing. As you can see here, I do some fun things as in shipping and marketing to have customers return and build a brand for myself. I'm definitely gonna have to figure out contractors and storage for the future. And so far, I'm projected to make about $64,000 in year 1. Thank you so much for your time. I have an initial startup investment of $3,044 to get me in the door, and this will go into the next month, in which I would be doubling and leading up to that $64,000. This is my future. This is my passion. I love everything about it. I love to showcase it in its best light that's possible. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. And here's my contact. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Faith. And now it is time for the judges. Judges, you have 4 minutes to ask questions. Audience, as a reminder, there's the Q&A button down at the center of the screen. Go ahead and click on that and ask Faith any questions you have about Hardcore Hippie.
Hi, Faith. This is Stella. I'm not as familiar with the vintage market. As you scale up your business, will it be limited and capped by the supply of inventory when you go out to get vintage items and source them?
So I hoped with my contractors to be able to expand in different states. I'm actually from Florida, so I see in every Goodwill, every Savers I go into, there's a wide array of products, and especially all across the country in different areas, there's all different types of products and vintage to discover. Everything winds up in Goodwill and these places, and then you see it recreated online with poor quality when it's upheld itself for 50 years in a thrift store. So the quality is going to be there, and there's products all across the country.
Great, thanks.
And so Faith, in terms of when you expand and have these contractors around the country that are sourcing for you, how will you know that they have the same skill you have in identifying, what is vintage clothing that truly is something that's desirable by others? And then maybe as you're answering that too, then I assume they would also have to outlay cash, or because you aren't going to have credit with Goodwill stores around the country, I assume. How do you envision that whole aspect of it working?
All right, so with contractors, instead of employees, I kind of get more freedom of a time zone, and I also get more freedom in the sense that they can go out and decide to shop whenever they feel like it. With the contractors, they're going to be put through a thrift store boot camp trained by me, in which we would either be on FaceTime or in person together, and I would really show them how I personally sift through everything, because there's a lot to go in a thrift store, and like you wouldn't believe that a children's mini backpack could be worth $50 when in reality it is, because it's vintage. And these are things to look out for that I would give tips and tricks on to my people that I would hire. It would definitely be a several time process of showing people the ropes and how to go about things and what's worthwhile and worth the time. When it comes to payment, that's something I'm still figuring out, being as I haven't had any employees yet, so I'm still figuring that out. But I would like to work with them and be able to figure out a way in which, if Goodwill was getting discounts, that would be reflected in the payment of the contractor.
Hi, Faith. How durable would you say vintage clothing would be using this hippie style? I mean, it's been going on for 50 years, but how durable is it as the baby boomers age out, the kids don't like the music, and the whole culture starts to fade from society? I mean, how much are you betting this on the durability of a given fashion look?
All right, I'm glad you bring that up, because Hardcore Hippie is not just vintage products. Hardcore Hippie is both hardcore styles and hippie styles. So I range from anything from 20s wear to 90s. I love 90s too, and 90s is booming right now. History constantly repeats itself, especially with fashion. There's always trends coming and going, but at the end of the day, they always come back to something, whether it be 80s vintage, 70s bell-bottoms. It's all seasonal. It's always coming back. Whatever style is in, I usually can typically always find at a thrift store. And I love to be able to keep up with social media and the trends and try to fit that and provide new items to people that they're going to be so excited with. So as the seasons change, so do I.
So part of your job is to spot trends as they emerge, or actually before they emerge. How do you plan to develop a surveillance system to see trends before they emerge and before other competitors come into this space?
Well, I have found in my years of dressing eccentrically that if you put yourself out there and you put something in the realm of visibility, people are going to want it. And I have a decent following on social media, and I really am trying to become even more involved within that community. Instagram, social media is all building so much. I mean, TikTok and Reels has really especially brought up the alternative clothing again. I feel like there's so many things that constantly revolve in and out of the fashion world. And yeah, I feel like I can always find somebody within the community to build off of, or even myself introduce new fashions. And hopefully people will want to take off with that too.
And that's all the time we have for judges' questions.
Thank you, judges. From the audience, we have a lot of good questions. So, ready? The first is, you mentioned that you don't do returns. What will you do if someone wants a return because they want to make a personal style change?
All right, so before sending out bundles, I will communicate with people. I like to keep it as secretive as possible because it's a really fun surprise to be able to open and be like, oh my God, I love this. But I would definitely like to be able to work with people and figure out if there's something they don't like. Like I said, people are encouraged to contact me if they have any questions about returns, but especially on just for sale products, the descriptions really do give a good job at saying everything there is to say.
How do you plan to make yourself stand out in a saturated market and compete with other platforms such as Depop, Poshmark, and other successful sellers on Instagram that also alter and customize clothing?
All right, so to compete against these people, I mean, there's so many brands out there, but the thing is, when you're on Depop and when you're on Instagram, you're almost so overwhelmed by all the other businesses out there that you don't know where to turn from. And something I've been noticing is also all these fake brands and stuff popping up as sponsored on Instagram when it's all just really cheap products like Yoins and these other companies that are contributing to fast fashion. It's all going to fall apart on you within a matter of months, whereas vintage and the items that I restore, hand sew, and repair are going to really hold up against the stand of time.
Is this for both male and females, or focused on just females?
This is definitely unisex. I had a few unisex outfits in my presentation. Yeah, the Blink-182 one. I do a lot of men's jeans. Everything is unisex, and I really would love to market towards men as well.
Is there a standard for the clothing? Often when thrifting, you see a variety of brands from Forever 21 to Ralph Lauren. Can customers expect to receive, quote, better quality items, or will it be a mixed bag?
It will be better quality because I hand search each item and I repair any holes that I find. Forever 21 items are very cheaply made, constantly falling apart. I'm always repairing buttons, zippers, holes, everything like that. So of course, if there's anything at the thrift store that I think is too far gone, I'm not going to pick it up. But if it's something I think is worth restoring and fixing up and really making strong, I would do that.
And that is all the time we have for audience questions. Sorry to cut you off, Dave.
Nope, totally good. Time is strictly enforced, and we're going to stick with that. Awesome. Thank you very much, Hardcore Hippies. Next up, we have CG Digital.
Hi, my name is Callum Griffith, and I'm the founder and creative director at CG Digital.
Hello, I'm McCoy Marion, and I'm a sales representative at CG Digital.
And for the past 2.5 years, we've been designing and building high-end custom websites for a variety of companies in a variety of different industries. But we didn't start with websites. Let me walk you through how we got here. This is me back in 2014 after having won $100 for a poster I designed. As you might notice, I look a little bit annoyed, and I was. I wanted more. At the time, I didn't think it'd be possible to achieve financial freedom doing what I loved. That all changed in 2018 after I sold a logo for $5,000 and founded CG Digital. At the time, I was living in Los Angeles, and I took advantage of the location to grow my business and build a small clientele. Flash forward a couple of years to 2020, and I brought on a digital marketing specialist named Ben, who's had a profound impact on what CG Digital is today. This year from quarter 1 through quarter 3, we've achieved almost $25,000 in revenue, and we're on track to hit almost $50,000 by the end of the year. CG Digital is one half design and one half marketing. We bring a unique approach to web design, bringing both design and marketing at every stage of every project, ensuring that our websites are built to be enjoyable and impressive while performing exceptionally. We think it's a huge flaw that when design studios and marketing agencies build websites, they tend to focus on either design or marketing too much. We're the perfect solution because we're a hybrid of the two. We bring the best of both worlds to our websites. Our website package costs $10,000, takes roughly 12 weeks to complete, and our clients love it. In fact, many of our clients have returned for more than one project with us. Our target clients are companies with 1 to 5 million in revenue, with 1 to 2 decision makers, and are positioned as high-end or luxury brands. This is an example of a client's website before they engaged us. As you can see, companies with 1 to 5 million in revenue can have pretty outdated and underperforming websites. Our solution was a complete facelift. In fact, since this website launched back in June, we've seen an increase from 2,000 monthly visitors to 3,000, just 6 months later. Over the years, we've been honored to work with some fairly high-profile clients, including the City of Cambridge, where we're based, as well as Babson United, the company that eventually led to Babson College.
Over the past year, our team has grown to be 4 people. Apart from Callum and Ben, both Mike and I have joined as sales representatives. As we scale, we plan to grow our sales team to match our capacity so that there's always an influx of clients to meet our growing demand. As you can see, most of our clients come from referrals. We're extremely proud that our clients feel confident endorsing us by referring us to other businesses. My process as a sales representative has been mostly leveraging my personal connections as well as cold outreach to businesses in my area. Mike also works as a sales representative at Johns Hopkins and has a lot of experience with cold outreach, which he's using to our benefit. Mike and I are extremely confident that we will land at least 1 new client before the end of the year.
At the moment, we have 4 monthly clients at any given time. Now, while that's great, we've worked out that we can handle 8 monthly clients. This is based on each website package taking roughly 120 hours to complete. Now, spread across 3 months and split between myself and Ben, that works out to each client taking roughly 40 hours per month. We plan to scale with our process. We've put a huge amount of effort into building equity in our proprietary website process. Our process allows us to provide the same level of consistent quality and results with our websites. Additionally, it allows us to give our clients transparency into what they can expect at each stage of each project. When we scale, we plan to use this process to help train new hires, to help give the same experience that we've come to new clients. So to help give the same experience to new clients that they can expect from a CG Digital website. This year, we're on track to hit $50,000 in revenue, but next year, we're on track to hit $200,000. Now, that might seem like a big jump, but that's actually assuming that we're only working at 75% of our capacity, and we're not raising prices, which is something that we're planning to do in the near future. It also assumes that we don't hire on anyone else to help us fulfill our projects and expand our capabilities. We're really excited about the future of CG Digital, and we'd love for you to ask us questions and get in contact at cg.digital. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Callum and McCoy. Judges, you have 4 minutes to ask questions. Audience, just a reminder, if you have any questions for them during the audience Q&A button is down in the center of the screen.
Hey guys.
Hi guys. Go ahead, Brendan. Go ahead.
Thanks, Richard. Quick question. Does your basic package to businesses include both digital and desktop websites?
Yeah, absolutely. Having a mobile responsive website is something that is somewhat of a standard across website design now. And so depending on the client, especially if we've done research and it shows that more people are using it on mobile, we'll even design with a mobile responsive website as a priority.
Hi, have you developed within your proprietary system a refresh schedule? That is how often a site should be refreshed or an app should be refreshed, given technological developments for the clients?
So we don't have a refresh built into our process because our process is just designed to help give them the best product possible within that time frame. A lot of the decision-making process that a client has when they're deciding to make a new website can vary a lot depending on the client too. But we do offer ongoing maintenance as a part of a retainer package.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, great job. As far as your expenses or your price for the product, it's just a flat $10,000. Is there other packages or is it just one package that you get?
So our $10,000 package is our primary offering. That's what we want most clients to buy into. We do offer, as I mentioned, just briefly, retainer options where clients can pay for ongoing services, but we do think that our website process is what makes us really unique, and that's where clients can see a lot of value when they want to hire us.
And then when they purchase or when they update their website, digital design, things like that, it almost seems like it's a one-time thing. How do you keep them with another package? How do you retain them as clients? What is your plan there?
So one of our retainer packages that we're actually doing with one of our clients right now is a combination of doing SEO and then also pay-per-click advertising. And so Ben, my other partner that does digital marketing, offers a lot of the services that clients might find in a retainer package to support the website afterwards.
How do you plan on scaling with sales reps and managing them?
So we've worked out the amount of hours that each client takes roughly per process. And so we plan to hire once we're consistently at roughly 75% of our capacity and bringing on someone else to help us fulfill that capacity. And at that point, we would consider bringing on another sales rep to help us expand the amount of clients that are coming in the door. That's the projected salary for next year assumes that we're working at 75% of that capacity, which is roughly 6 clients at any given time. And so what that means is we would be hiring on another sales rep as well as a designer to help us expand our capabilities while also increasing the amount that we're bringing in at any given time.
And then how are your sales reps? Are they all salary? Is there commission? How does their pay structure work as a sales reps? And what is their training like?
So currently, our sales reps are paid by commission. And so on a $10,000 project, each sales rep can expect to make 10%. Now, I mentioned briefly that we're planning on expanding our price, increasing our prices pretty soon. And so that's based on a lot of growing demand recently. And so in the future, one of the target prices that we're going to increase them to in the near future is 20,000. So sales reps could expect to make 2,000 per new client that they brought on, as well as we're also talking about doing a base salary.
And that's all the time we have for judges' questions.
Thank you all so much.
Thank you, judges. Okay, you guys ready for all the rapid fire questions here? Well, it doesn't matter because I'm going to do it anyways. Callum, come back.
Hello.
Yeah, you don't get away that easy. Okay, $10,000. That's very expensive. Are you going for corporate clients?
So our clients are companies that are doing 1 to 5 million in revenue, and so $10,000 is actually pretty standard for what they would expect to pay for a website. In fact, as I mentioned from before, we're considering raising our prices because we've discovered there's actually demand for even higher priced websites. And there's a number of clients that we're actually in the process of talking to right now that we know they had expected to pay 20,000 plus. And so that's the next tier of package that we're at. But certainly that's $10,000 is pretty standard for the level of client that we're targeting.
You'll be competing against third world country competition web developers. How?
So I don't think we are competing against third world developers because there's a lot of, for a number of different reasons, the first of which being that clients like to work with people that are nearby. They like to know who they're working with. And then also at this point, we've been in business for 2.5 years. And so we have some level of trust established within our clients. And you're getting a lot more value from working with a company that has a whole integrated approach that's right nearby. And that's also, in my opinion, offering a higher quality product.
Are you assisting your clients with SEO and SEM optimization? If so, have you been able to measure your results, increases in clicks, visits, over sales, revenue for your customers?
Yeah, absolutely. So a huge part of our process is optimizing our websites for SEO. That's the job of my partner, Ben. And in fact, that case study I showed for the client, Michael Abor, where we saw an increase of 2,000 to 3,000 monthly visitors over the span of 6 months, was actually before we began any paid search ads. So that was entirely based on organic growth.
Referrals are key. What's your plan to drum up business from existing clients?
So that's something that we've been focusing on a huge amount because it's one of our largest sources of new business. And what we found to be really successful is having ongoing outreach. So apart from me maintaining my relationships with clients just through calling them up just to maintain that relationship, we also have a monthly digital digest where we engage with our clients through newsletters just to keep them in the loop on what we're doing and make them feel like they're somewhat, they have skin in the game with our success.
And that is all the time we have for audience questions.
Awesome. Thank you very much, CG Digital.
Thank you.
Next up is Nosta.
Hi, sorry, just turning on my camera. It says I'm unable to start my video.
That is unfortunate. Do you want to try to? Oh, never mind.
Sorry about that. What is? Can you see the slideshow?
Yes, you are all good.
Great. Thank you guys so much for coming. My name's Noah Gilbert, and I'm the founder and CEO of Nosta. I came up with the idea of Nosta being locked in my room during quarantine. Unfortunately, I left my PlayStation at school in Connecticut and had no way to game online with my friends. So I picked up one of my old Game Boys, started playing that. It made me want to look into other consoles that came before my time that I never got to play. And that's what launched me into the retro gaming industry. I've learned a lot of cool things about these consoles and games, but I've also learned a lot about the pains that me and other consumers have faced. I've conducted 2 surveys with over 300 results and contacted several retro game resellers to find the key pain points of this industry. First, we have our security. Security is a problem because this is a resale market, which means you're never buying directly from a manufacturer or third-party vendors. You usually don't know who you're buying the product from or what the true condition is until it reaches your doorstep. Next problem, we have a scattered community. Gamers are everywhere. They're on Reddit, Instagram, YouTube. We need one unified platform for everyone to share and collaborate. Last, we have shipping. Shipping is a problem because it discourages people from wanting to sell or trade online. They don't know which company to use or what the most efficient way is, cheapest for the certain item they're shipping. So we took all these pain points in consideration and we created a social media marketplace called Nosta. To your left, you can see an example of what a user's feed could look like. You can like, comment, or share that post. One cool thing Nosta allows you to do is also make an offer to buy or trade from something in your collection. To your right, you have an example of what a user collection would look like. This is where you can post all your individual collection items. And up top, we have a chat function so you could talk to your friends or make some more. Here we have our in-house services. To your left, we have our grading center. This is great for anyone who has any cool or rare items they want to see graded. They'll send it to us and we'll grade it 1 to 10 based off of any damage it's incurred over the years. Then we'll close it off in an acrylic box and send it back to the user. To the right, we have our cleaning service. This is great for anyone who's had any consoles laying around their house for a couple of decades collecting dust. We'll take it apart carefully, clean it through our process, put it back together and send it to our user. Now we'll be talking about our raffle section. This is great for anyone feeling lucky or wants to get something cool for a small amount of money. You can buy a spot in a raffle that costs anywhere from $3 to $20, and you get things like games, consoles, or complete in-box items. Now we have our add-on items. This is great to complement any purchase. You can get an extra controller for your console, any cords you may be missing, or batteries to operate your devices and games. Now to Akil to talk about our customer segments.
Thank you, Noah. Here we'll be talking about who our customers are. We have 3 major target markets represented by 3 different avatars. First, we have Chris. Chris is in the age demographic of 16 to 30. He's mostly into modern gaming, but has recently gotten into retro gaming, hearing about it from his parents growing up and watching speedrunners online. Next target market we have is Paul. Paul is in the age group with 31 to 45. He's the original gamer, but now with the full-time job, he doesn't have a lot of time on his hands. But when he has a free moment, he likes to kick back on the couch like it's 1988. Last, we have Tyler. Tyler's in a similar age group to Chris, but took his love for retro gaming to the next level by opening up his own retro gaming reseller shop. He started on eBay, then moved to Instagram for more flexibility and less charges incurred by the seller. Back to you, Noah, for the finances and competition.
Thank you, Akil. Now to a competition. We have everything that our competition has, but on one unified platform. We have a purchase guarantee to make sure that everyone gets exactly what they want. People buy their items and then their money is put into an escrow account till 48 hours after their item is delivered. The money will be released to the seller. And if they have anything to say about the item 24 hours before it was delivered at their door, they can always ask for a money back and it never reached the seller. Next, we have a community. This is where people can share, collaborate, and talk about their experiences. A place to showcase their items so they can see each individual and how much they love it. They can write comments. Then a marketplace for people to add on to that collection, sell it off, or trade some items to upgrade. This is all on a single feed, so it's super easy for anyone just getting used to social media. And we have easy shipping, so we just give the user the label and all they have to do is find the box to put it in. Last, my favorite part, the finances. Nosta has 5 different revenue streams, starting with our transaction fees. Every party is charged $1, whether they're buying, selling, or trading. This will help fund Nosta's operations and ensure product security. If you want to waive those transaction fees, you can upgrade to one of our subscription fees. We have our expansion pass and our unlimited pass. Our expansion pass is $14.99 a month, and it waives all sales transaction fees while giving the user 105 sales and trades per week instead of the normal 21 allowed. Next, our unlimited pass is $24.99 a month. This waives all transaction fees, gives the user unlimited sales and trades per week, and gives you the ability to host raffles, which you can only do through the unlimited pass. Next, we have our add-on items. We make around $2.50 margin on each item we sell. We have a standard $50 cost per game we grade and a standard $34.99 per console we clean. Now onto the expenses. Nosta's biggest initial expense is our inventory costs. We will plan on buying $7,000 worth of add-on items. We have web development costs, which will be a minimum because I'll be developing the website myself. We'll have customer service agents, but we won't need to hire our first one till month 13, and we plan on having 3 by the end of year 3. We'll have some console cleaners, but they will be part-time based off of demand of requests we get from users. Then we have our marketing. We plan on having 3 initial marketing strategies and spending $115,000 our first year. We're asking for $8,558 for investment, and this will go to initial inventory and initial cleaning supplies to start operations. Now we have our annual projections. Nosta is projected to make 216 by the end of our first year, just above 1.3 million at the end of our second year, and a whopping $5 million in net revenue by our third year. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Nosta. Judges, you have 4 minutes for your questions. And audience, just a reminder, down at the very bottom is the Q&A button. Feel free to ask any questions that you want answered during the audience Q&A.
No, I have some questions around if a product is rejected by the customer, and I'm really worried about this. Well, both if it's rejected or not. I'm worried about the seller's protection. You say the money's going into an escrow account. As a seller, how do I know that's happening and you aren't spending it before I get my money? And then if it is rejected, it seems like this is all to protect the buyer, but nothing to protect the seller. You know, how does the seller know they get the product back? Who pays shipping both ways? Those kinds of things. It just seems like there might be a disconnect there.
Totally understand. Great question. Thank you. So the money in the escrow account, we'll show them the receipt for that. And so for sending the money back to the buyer, we will only,
hold on a second. What do you mean you showed me the receipt? How do I know the money is really still money and you haven't like spent it going out to dinner or something?
You know, I haven't thought about that, but I can get back to you. But for the seller's protection wise, what you can do is, so the money that gets returned to the buyer, that only gets returned once the item is in process of shipping, and we will cover any shipping costs for that, just so that we ensure that everyone gets a satisfied interaction with us. If that answers your question.
Yeah, it starts to. There's probably still some questions there. And then the other thing is, when's a raffle online gaming, and are there any licensing or other issues around that?
Yeah, so not that I know if there's any problems licensing, raffling is really great for buyers and sellers. It happens a lot on Instagram, but the problem is there's no real platform for them to host the raffles. So you kind of have to just trust the host that they're being honest. So the raffles, what we'll do is people can buy in and it will be all automated on our website. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, we can go on to other questions.
Okay.
Hi, Noah. How do you think about the total addressable market for retro games? And then what percentage of that market adoption do your financial projections assume?
Yeah, so it's a little hard to tell the exact size of retro gaming market because a lot of retro gamers are gamers in every industry and modern. So right now there's about over 160 million people in the gaming industry. So what we plan on doing is we plan on capturing at least 5% of that, which what we think could be a lot of the retro gamers, and we'll be getting them onto the website by partnering with verified sellers online that have a large fan base of people that they trust that will move to our platform with them.
I know there's a lot of counterfeit games, retro games floating around, out in the ecosystem of gaming. How do you plan to guarantee or authenticate the originality, or the provenance of each of these games that you're grading?
Great question. So first we'll have AI embedded in the website. So they'll be scanning for any noticeable fakes, like with the cartridge or anything like that. But then, so that's what the protection, the 24 hours protection gives you, is that the user can take it and look at it to see if it's authentic or not. And then later, we will also have a system in place. So if an item is above $200, it will be sent to us so we can authenticate it, and then we'll send it to the user to ensure for any rare or expensive games.
And that's all the time we have for questions.
Okay, so we have a good number of questions here. First, how do you plan on separating yourself from Game Exchange and GameStop trade-ins or Facebook Marketplace or eBay, etc.?
Yeah, that's awesome. So first off, Nosta is designed for gamers. So is Game Exchange and GameStop. But this is online. GameStop and Game Exchange often do above market price. So if you're looking to collect and you don't want to pay full market price, then you shouldn't buy from them. This is a great place for you to be able to not just buy items, but also maybe buy them for a cheaper price for someone who's looking to sell them.
Are you able to leave a review for a specific seller? And if so, will it appear on their page so a buyer knows before they purchase an item?
So we do not have that. So what we will have is we'll have certified sellers. So we will have certain sellers that come on, we'll go them through a review process and they'll become a verified seller. We have a 2-strike process. So if they mess up or something goes wrong with the transaction that was their fault, that we figure out through the investigation, then we will rip them of their status of a certified seller.
I see a couple of questions here about the fact that games are now moving more and more into the cloud and digital. How are you going to handle that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So that's definitely a big competition, but honestly, for people who truly love retro games, there's going to be always something about having the cartridge and putting it into the console, and that they really want to live that more nostalgic instead of just loading up a small little system with 500 games.
You spoke about taking apart the product for cleaning. Are there any replacements that are inserted different from the original prototype?
No. So we're not repairing these consoles. We're just strictly cleaning them. So we will take it apart, thoroughly clean it. If there's any requests like that, it would cost an additional charge and we'd have to dispute that directly with the request.
How do you plan to grow this community?
So one thing is really cool is for especially younger people are actually getting into retro games because they're finding how cool it is. A lot of these games are arcade style, which means you're always trying to beat the best score. And there's something about that playing with your friends, even though you can't do multiplayer, but like trying to beat your friend with the highest score is something that's always going to be loved. And that's why you can still see small arcade stores around the country.
And that is all the time we have for audience questions.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Nosta. Our final team is Punched In.
Noah, if you could, oh, perfect, thank you. All right. Hi, everybody, my name is Ricky Salucci, and I'm an independent artist. Currently, 25 million artists upload their music to SoundCloud, averaging about 12 hours of music uploaded every single hour. Now, this type of volume creates a unique problem for artists in that it creates oversaturation, which makes it difficult for their music and work to get the correct recognition it deserves. Now, it's hard for them to get their music in front of the right listeners in that sense, in front of the ears of collaborators and industry professionals, people who can help them grow as artists, as well as open doors for them to take their career to the next steps. Currently, no platform exists that fosters these relationships and helps facilitate this for independent artists, and we believe that's a major gap in the music industry. Punched In aims to fill this gap through a hybrid mobile application, which takes the online networking benefits of social media and combines them with the distribution and monetization benefits of a streaming platform. Punched In aims to offer artists collaboration on a higher level through real-time file sharing and real-time collaboration, making things easy and efficient, once-in-a-lifetime opportunities through doors opened for them through the relationships fostered on our platform, as well as the ability to monetize their music to a greater extent than that which is currently available to them now. In order to validate this idea, we went out and we surveyed 336 different music listeners about their listening habits, and it came back that over 50% of them preferred rap and hip hop as their favorite genre. Now, this is in line with current industry data. So from there, we went in, we analyzed who they were listening to, and it came back for all of those people who answered rap and hip hop that all of them had a favorite artist who either had gotten their start independently on SoundCloud or had their head just below the waterline, still in the underground. From there, we went and interviewed 10 different independent artists. Each of those artists pledged to be on our platform at launch, validating a need for this within the independent music market. So in order to mitigate oversaturation, we're going to be rolling out a multi-tiered subscription-based revenue service in which our paid subscribers are designated as artists and receive the features and benefits that come with that. And our free subscribers are using it as a majority audio streaming service in which they can listen to their favorite artists. So artists are going to be able to connect with other collaborators from all disciplines of music, as well as industry professionals to open up those doors. They're going to be able to file share directly on the app, making collaborations easy and efficient. They're going to be able to interact with their fans and fan communities, allowing them to distribute unique content directly to their fans, creating a unique relationship that doesn't really exist on any other social media platform for artists, and giving them the unique ability to activate their fans directly where they distribute their content. And then the ability to monetize every single aspect of their creative process through our online marketplace, on top of money they're making from the residual streaming revenue from the streams accrued on our platform. So our main competition in this is SoundCloud, as they're the main distribution service for independent artists. As I talked about, oversaturation is a real problem there. Airbit and BeatStars are two independent music marketplaces in which producers sell their beats for high, exorbitant one-time prices. These can provide a barrier to entry to many independent artists, as well as a rather impersonal relationship that's not conducive to the growth or development of either artist, rendering the experience rather valueless. And then there's also social media, where artists have to market themselves to anyone and everyone possible, trying to make it out of the underground. And the chance of achieving virality in this way is like the chance of finding a needle in a haystack. In order to generate artists for our platform, we'll be hosting competitions throughout the country at 4 different major hip hop hotspots. In these competitions, artists submit their works for $25 to an independent panel of judges. The judges are then going to select the winner. The winner receives a prize put up by our sponsor, which is either a deal put up by a label or some sort of recognition in the forms of radio plays, an interview, or on-air freestyling from a radio station. Now, in order to retain the most artists from each subculture and gain credibility in each subculture of the underground hip hop market, we're going to be targeting them individually. We're going to go from New York down to Atlanta, up to Chicago, and then finish it off with LA and encapsulate the whole hip hop market in that way. So our revenue streams, we have our subscriptions, which grow steadily over time. Competition submissions, we don't anticipate much overlap on those. Transaction fees, which are a tax on our online marketplace, and any commission on affiliate marketing from our advertisers. Advertising, which is outside advertisers promoting their content to our subscribers. And then sponsored content, which is artists promoting themselves to other collaborators and professionals. This is going to include a unique feature, a cost per send advertising feature, where artists can pay a flat rate to send their music to potential connections and reach out and start bridging that connection in that way. For our expenses, we have our employees, which grow steadily over time, our development costs, which on the front end is evened out on the back end as we facilitate our growth with more subscribers, marketing costs to put on the competitions, legal costs to maintain our status as a distributor of music, our artist payout, which is large but isn't equatable to the amount we make off promotions, and then taxes, which don't get smaller as you make more money, unfortunately.
With all that being said, Ricky is seeking a modest investment of $90,000 to bring Punched into market. He has all of the tools necessary and passion to make his dream a reality. The industry is starving for the solutions and the incredible platform that Punched In will provide. We are ready to revolutionize the underground music scene and help spread the awesome art it creates.
So with all that being said, I'll leave you with this. Eminem had Dr. Dre. Drake had Lil Wayne. Future had Metro Boomin. All of these prolific partnerships have shaped popular music today and created a whole new dynamic for what's considered the norm. Punched In is going to be facilitating these relationships on a viral level, bringing about a new era of music and opening doors for the independent artists that never would have been open before. punched in is essential for independent artists as the clock is ticking on their dreams and they have no time to waste but to get into the studio and start punching in. Thank you for your time, and if I can answer any questions, I'd be happy to.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Punched In. Judges, you have 4 minutes, and audience, just a reminder, down at the bottom, you have the Q&A button to ask any questions that you want of Ricky.
Hey, Ricky, it's Bill. One of the challenges you say that exists today is oversaturation, and that there's just too much noise in the system to find a new artist or the next big artist. But I noticed that in your projections, you have like 14,400 artists subscribers by month 36. So how does 1 in 14,400 not be oversaturated? How does somebody find each one of those and what their unique talents are?
So I'm not quite sure I understand the question. You're asking about the idea of oversaturate, how we would mitigate it on our platform. Is that?
Yeah. How would you mitigate it when you have 14,400 artists? How, as a listener, how am I going to find one that's the hidden gem?
Excellent. So what we're going to do, and I'm glad you asked this, is under the employee section of our expenses, that accounts for 2 dedicated content curators in which they're going to actually go and curate original content on our platform, whether it be playlists where they're going to be able to put on artists, charts where they're going to be able to shed light on underappreciated creators, such as producers. This is one really big example that I like to bring up, is that producers, because they're really under recognized, they average like 1,000 streams per beat on SoundCloud, which is very, very low compared to at least the vocal artists. And because of that, they have to go and they have to pay, charge exorbitant one-time fees and kind of hustle their beats. So by having these content curators and having people kind of looking out for the artists, we're going to be reducing the need to hustle and making it a environment more conducive to collaboration.
Richard, what's the end game? To get signed by a label, and your end game, as for the artist, and your end game perhaps is to be a label at some point?
I would say my end game is honestly to stick with this as long as I can. I don't think our end game is to necessarily be a label. I think our end game is, kind of to be an all-in-one platform for the independent artists. I think we're going to start out, carving our niche with the collaboration and the file sharing and that sort of thing. But over time, we want to layer in mixing services that are going to help artists, that don't necessarily have that technical expertise to kind of develop it a little bit better on our app, resources for our artists, and we want to build it out not to be a place just for independent artists, but for the whole music industry kind of come and be able to collaborate in one spot. So, hip hop is how we're going to carve our niche because the underground hip hop market is so saturated and has the most potential. However, we do want to build it out into kind of a collaborative network for the music industry.
Do you presently have any contacts in the industry? You mentioned a number of rap artists who were elevated to stardom in part by relationships. Eminem and Dr. Dre, for example, to reference one that accompanied your presentation. Do you think that's important if you don't have these relationships, and how can you build these relationships?
It's absolutely essential to have these relationships to start out with. One connection I have to reach out with is an uncle who is a head at Cumulus Media, which is one of the larger conglomerates for XM radio. So that's a place for me to start, I would say. And just building it out from there, I have a firm belief that, especially within the music industry, it's kind of the ripple effect. You get your foot in the door and then you start meeting people. And I have the passion and the conviction that once I start meeting people, to turn these relationships into valued ones that can help develop this business.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely.
That's all the time we have for judges' questions.
Okay, you have a couple of artists who have asked questions. So let's start with, I'm an artist. In what sense are you really going to foster these connections?
So as I said, the way we're going to kind of start fostering the connections is breaking down the barriers that make them not possible. So whether it be a communication barrier, a money barrier, a recognition barrier, it's going to more be carving out the niche of the platform initially as a social network. So when we're trying to get early adopters, we're going to mainly be targeting people who are looking for collaborators. And in that way, we're going to kind of carve out the platform and define that first to be a place that's conducive to collaboration through our early adopters. And then as it kind of develops over time, it's going to be a place where it's just going to kind of maintain that, I guess.
Remember, artists and most musicians are broke, and some of these people you mentioned also use YouTube to spring them forward. You'll be competing against YouTube, SoundCloud. How really will you make money?
So the biggest thing for us to make money, I would say, is not on the subscriptions, but on artists being able to promote themselves and artists kind of generating a name on our platform. We believe that because the oversaturation is so large on these platforms, especially on SoundCloud, that there's a lot of talent that's really going underappreciated, and people who are investing money and getting wicked low return on those investments, and like right now, like they're paying $50 for one beat when they could be paying $10 for 5-month subscriptions to work with a producer that might only charge them like barely anything, or like find a producer that you become like very close with, and then it's kind of just like a working relationship where the money is kind of like an afterthought. So because you're generating these kind of personal connections with people, it kind of makes the money and all of that stuff become secondary and kind of puts the music, the art form, and the passion at the forefront.
And that's all the time we have for audience questions.
Thank you, Punched In. So, audience, to let you know what's going to happen now, I'm going to take the judges and we're going to go off and deliberate about what's the ranking for these 6 teams. However, don't forget that you guys still have a role to play. Or in fact, the next part specifically. So I'm going to hand this off to John, and judges, if I could ask you guys to click the link to go to the other Zoom conference, and we'll see you guys shortly.
Okay. So as the judges are deliberating, I have just sent a message to all the panelists and the attendees. That is the form that you'll be filling out to vote for your audience favorite at the conclusion of the 11th hour competition. Now, the 11th hour competition is between 2 teams that were just on the cusp of making it to the final round. It's Plan U and Nail Teak. Each team will have the same exact parameters as the 6 teams prior. They'll have 7 minutes to present their idea, and then there will be only audience questions. So you guys will decide who will win $250, and that voting will take place at the end of both presentations. So go ahead, open up that Google form and have it ready to go, because at the conclusion of Nail Teak's presentation, you will have 90 seconds to vote. And I will have a countdown timer and I will get everyone excited. Okay, so Plan U, whenever you're ready, you can come on board and let me switch over to the timer to get going.
You said whenever, John?
Give me 1 second. Okay, it is on you guys.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name's Sean.
I'm Matt.
And I'm Will.
And we are Plan U. So growing up, I was never a very organized person. As a matter of fact, I was extremely unorganized. I was the kid with the really messy room with dirty clothes everywhere, the very cluttered locker in high school. And I was always walking around with a lot of books in my hands and occasionally dropping them everywhere because I was just so unorganized. And going to college, I realized that this is something that wasn't really going to be in my favor considering the new environment I was getting myself into. And that's when I knew I had to make a change. So statistics show 87% of students say that if they had better time management and organization skills, that they would get better grades. 87% of students also say that they've experienced stress during their college years. and more than 60% of students report not getting enough physical activity. Now, these numbers are extremely high. So what's the solution? How can we help college students? So Plan U is a multi-purpose application for college students where the student has their schedule, where they can keep all of their commitments, whether it be class, athletic, clubs, or any other things they have going on in a specific day. Next, we have our fitness aspect, which gives students a personalized meal plan based off of food at their school's cafeteria, and a personalized workout routine based on gym equipment at their school's gym. Next, we have the mental health aspect, which gives students who feel stress or anxiety, maybe they have a test coming up or they're just feeling down on a certain day. This tool will help them feel better and relieve them of their stress or anxiety. Lastly, we have the involvement aspect, where students can see all of the events that are happening on campus during a specific day, as well as different clubs that they can join if they might be interested in that specific club. So this is our prototype. This is the bread and butter, basically, of the application. Green means that the task is complete, blue means that the task is in progress, and white means that the task has not been performed yet. This is the fitness tab. In the fitness tab, it shows all these different criteria that a student puts in to generate their workout routine and meal plan. Next, we have our mental health tab, which shows different things that a student can be feeling on a specific day to give them a solution, and as well as students can get in touch with the school counselor if they ever are feeling really down. Lastly, this is our Get Involved tab, which shows events that are happening on campus during a specific day and clubs that students may be interested in joining. Now I'm going to pass it off to Will.
So from the survey that we ran at Quinnipiac, we actually had really positive results and found that 86% of students are more likely to use the app if it was partnered with the school. 83% are more willing to attend QU events if it let them know about it. 94% would use a fitness plan if it were personalized for them. 98% said they would use a mental health tool if it came built in with the app. So everyone we've talked to in person as well has loved the app idea, and we plan to keep running these surveys to keep gathering data and make the experience the most beneficial we can for students. So, and now I'll pass it off to Matt.
Now, one of the biggest questions that we actually asked ourselves when we first started creating this app was just how much it would cost. Because we're focusing specifically on college students, we understand that pricing is a big problem point, and we don't want to add on to that issue at all, which is why we're actually going to be charging free to college students. We're able to accomplish this because we'll be charging the universities themselves an annual subscription fee. Now, our competition are specialized apps in their specific fields, such as the Adidas Workout app or the Mindfulness Mental Health app. We want to take the best out of all of these apps and specifically focus them onto college students because we believe that they're the people that require the most amount of help when it comes to planning out the rest of their life. We want to be able to help them build the skills that will serve them later on in their careers. Now I'll actually be handing it back off to Sean.
So how will we implement Plan U into universities? Well, actually, we pitched our idea to the Chief Experience Officer of Quinnipiac, who told us that if we get a working prototype of the application, that he will pilot it to a certain amount of students to see if it'll actually work. And that's what we call our alpha tests, where these students will try out the application, and if it benefits them and the results are good, we'll move to the beta test, where we pilot it to a few more students. And if the beta test goes well, that'll be when we implement the application into Quinnipiac. We expect this implementation process to take 8 months. So when it comes to financials, how will we make money off of this application? So schools will have to pay an annual fee at the beginning of each year if they want to use Plan U for that term. The initial cost for each university will be more expensive due to integrating the application into school systems and other initial fees. And these are our pricing tiers. So we have small, medium, and large schools. For small schools, they have less than 5,000 students, and they will be paying $25 as a price per student. Medium schools will be 5,000 to 15,000 students, where they pay $20 per student. And the large schools will be the schools that have over 15,000, which will pay $15 per student. Thank you all very much for listening in on our presentation. This means a lot to me. I've never been an organized kid, and actually changing my lifestyle has been a drastic thing and has really improved the way I work now in school. And I know that if my application hits the ground and runs, then I know I'll be able to help millions of college students around the world. And I'm hoping all of you listening today will help us on our journey in improving the lives of college students. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, so now we'll go to the audience questions. Remember, audience members, you are the judges for this round. Submit your questions, same as the first six competitors, at the Q&A at the bottom, and we will now have 2 minutes of audience Q&A, starting as soon as I get my stopwatch up. Okay. Is there a way to connect your app to the app that a student college already uses for their classwork? Example, Blackboard, Canvas, and Moodle, so that assignment due dates and exam dates can be a part of their organization?
So yeah, pretty much we plan on partnering with different applications such as Blackboard and Canvas. This way it'll be an easy integration, easily integratable into student schedules. That way all of the stuff that they already have through Blackboard, it can go straight to their schedule and they won't have to worry about manually putting it in. That's how we plan on partnering up with all these different applications to make that work.
Okay. Who would be in charge of updating the app for events?
So for events, we would actually partner with the school to tap into their database, and we would have to, it would be updated by the school's database. So every time the school database is updated from events that are happening on campus, that our app will also update those events as well in real time.
Okay, the next question is, would you consider expanding to educational institutions prior to college?
So yeah, we would like to start out at universities and actually get a feel for the college environment, because that would be our competitive advantage. But if our application hits the ground running and actually turns to be a great success in helping students, then we would definitely expand out to other educational institutions as well as into the real world as well.
How can the app be customized for each unique college?
So yeah, that would we would have to cater to each college colors. As you could see in the presentation, we catered to QU by doing the navy blue and the yellow. For any other college, for instance, Rutgers, the application background would be like reddish and all this other stuff. But yeah, we would plan on working with program designers to make that a reality and helping schools have their own, theme for the application.
Is there a cost or licensing aspect to partnering with Blackboard? How does this happen?
I assume there would be a licensing. I haven't really dug much into it, but I assume there would be licensing for Blackboard to partner with them and get like their information. But if we would start with the prototype, and if the prototype works well with students, we could use that to our advantage when we talk to Blackboard, and we say, hey, this shows that it will actually work, and then they might be more willing to help us in our endeavors.
And we have time for one last question. And has the app actually been developed?
The app has not yet been developed. I'm still working on the prototype. As you see, I just have a few slides, but I am in the talks with program designers to actually get this running. And as I said before, the Chief Experience Officer would pilot our application. So that'd be very helpful if we can get some help developing it.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Plan U.
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you again.
Okay, again, just to reiterate, you guys all have a link in your chat right now. It's a link to a Google form. At the end of Nail Teak's presentation, you can go ahead and select who won the 11th hour competition, which is between Nail Teak and Plan U. And then you can vote for your audience favorite which includes all 8 teams that have presented tonight. So without further ado, Nailteek, you're up.
Okay, John, you want to let us know when to go, or should it'll start when I start talking?
It's all on you guys now.
When I think back to my nail salon experiences, there have been quite a few times I've been disappointed, whether the color just didn't look good on my hands or complexion the way I thought it was gonna look, or from the filing just not looking good on my nails, or one of the worst and most disappointing, it's just a bad experience with the nail technician, and it could be to miscommunication or other things. So I know I'm not the only one who has had any problem with the nail salon, but my partner and I have decided to look on the other spectrum and see some of the issues and problems that nail owners and nail technicians are dealing with. My partner and I decided to travel to the local nail salons in our community to see if there is a problem and a need to improve the nail industry. Currently, there is no technology that exists for nail salons and nail owners for them to market and communicate with nail technicians and other nail customers. But how? My partner and I have decided to come up with an app that would hopefully minimize the amount of errors and issues people have experienced in the past. Many nail owners and salon technicians have mentioned that they use certain social media profiles like Facebook, Instagram, but not many of them are familiar with other technological apps, or they don't exist. So my partner and I introduced to you Nailteek.
Nailteek is an app-based platform that will allow users to interact with their personal style. This app will allow you to scan your hands, which will allow you to design custom stencils in real time to get the most advanced feel for what your style will look like. Many local salons have expressed these concerns that we spoke about with technology and how to use it efficiently. Many staff are not trained properly on how they would utilize these systems. Nailteek is changing the way salons interact with these customers. With an advanced POS system, we are able to curate the full salon experience for customers from when they schedule the appointment to the form of payment they receive.
In many nail salons today, many of the nail salon owners rely on the consistent clientele that already come to their business and word of mouth marketing. Now today, social media is continuing to improve, and as a business owner, you need to familiarize yourself at some point with social media to engage with potential clients and to communicate with old ones. Nailteek will allow nail technicians to communicate with potential clients as well, as this is an app that will be a platform for people to use in multiple features and multiple ways.
So the main purpose of Nailteek's platform is that it's an easy to use, realistic format that will allow people to basically simplify this whole experience. It will allow you to do the scan your hands feature, which basically allows you to upload a photo of your hands and you can see in real time what your nails will look like. And it'll also allow you to schedule appointments along with finalize any decisions on what your style will be in the process.
Now, Nailteek's features, it sounds like a lot, but we have decided to combine many of our favorite features from other social media apps and platforms to invest into Nailteek. As Tumblr, for those who are familiar with the app, it is an app that is just for the sole purpose for creatives who have certain interests with the images that they project on their profile. For those who create an account with Nailteek, they will have access to different designs and colors for people to create on the hands that are offered through Nailteek. We want people to create any design that can be where they can become more knowledgeable on the app and outside of the app as well. Right now, there is no direct Nailteek since there isn't any technology that exists solely for nail companies. There are other nail designer apps, but they aren't very realistic. They are also very targeted towards younger demographics. And Nailteak wants to target people of the ages 10 and up, but we don't want to solely make it for younger audience.
So as you see, we have including the scanning app that we've already mentioned. You can have a timeline, which Dina will get more into. You can schedule your appointments, and we'll also offer a do-it-yourself kit, which allows you to customize the same way you would with a scanning feature that would go to your salon technician. You can customize your designs and have them sent right home to you to do yourself for a less expensive price.
Now, Hunter and I conducted a survey, and we received 876 responses. Hunter and I wanted to know how much money people were spending for manicures. And from our data, we gathered that people are spending, drum roll please, $65 just for a manicure. So from that data, we have decided to have different prices for our DIY kits, whether they are for beginners or for advanced users when it comes to nail accessories. Nailteak will also like to have a location feature where if you're just sitting at home and you have the time to get your nails done, the app will show you local nail technicians and nail salons that are looking for clients to come in, and they have the availability to do so. My apologies. We will also offer monthly contests as a means for exposure for those who participate in the contest.
Our target market consists of women from the age of 10 and up, and nail salons, of course. For our financials, with every new company, it can be difficult to establish financial projections. At Nailteak, our projections are based on product price, industry growth, and with our estimated 5 clients per 100 online views for our marketing.
Lastly, since we're talking about marketing, we're hoping that in the future, Snapchat would be one of the advertisers who can market our product by having nail filters for people to play around with. That way they can see a preview of what designs Nailteak has to offer.
Thank you guys so much for taking the time. My name is Hunter Conti. My partner is Dana Dupre. Please reach out if you have any questions for us.
Okay, here we are with questions. Would the nail technicians be looking at or have access to their profiles so they can see their designs and ideas?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you can go, Dana.
I'm sorry, Hunter, for cutting you off. Everyone who creates a profile with Nailteak will have their own profile to keep the designs that they do create online. I hope I answered that question. I feel like I got jumbled just now.
I can repeat it for you if you want, Dina.
Okay.
Okay. What happens if someone comes up with the design, but then I'm sorry, hold on. Let me go to how will you? All right, hold on. We lost that question, so we're going to move on.
Okay.
What happens if someone comes up with a design, but then when making an appointment with the technician, they cannot make the design because it is too complex?
Right. So depending on the nail technician's ability and the designs that you create, that is something you would have to discuss further in that appointment. Usually when I know I'm scheduling an appointment and I have a certain design in mind, I have to show what I want and what I'm looking for, because verbally it is very hard to tell people what you're asking for. And any design that you create, you will find somebody who can emulate what you want.
To also assist with that, just to put on top of what Dina said, we're going to offer a tier-based system. So different stylists will have different levels of difficulty they feel they're able to complete. So if you have something our app decides the level 5 difficulty, we'll try and match you with a level 5 stylist beforehand, so we know that they're more capable to do what you need.
Great. How much would it cost for a user? If free, how is this app making you money?
Well, we have various revenue streams. The app is free because we want people to have that exposure and familiarity with the app, but to have access to certain colors and designs on the app, you will need a subscription for more access. Another revenue stream that we mentioned was our DIY kits, but overall, we will come up with other revenue streams if there is a need to be, but we do want to start small and be realistic. with what we are expecting, especially with a new app like this on a market where something like this doesn't exist.
Okay. Women over 40, how will you target this market who has a greater spendable income and often need manicures for the workplace?
So we feel that women under 40 would be a strong user for our concept, because a lot of women over 40 feel that, like from a personal experience and from some of the interviews we did, people sometimes get a design or color on their fingers and realize, I hate that color. Our app basically allows you to take those images. Sorry. Our app allows you to take those images and see what they'd really look like in person. So people of that age group would tend to like the app because it gives you a more realistic view of what your stuff's going to look like.
Okay, and our final question, is there an archive area that Nail Designs will go into on the app for other users to choose from?
Right now, we have not thought about an archive area. We haven't thought into greater detail for archived images and design.
Okay, thank you very much, Nail Teak. Okay, now with that, again, everyone can go and open up that Google form, and you may now submit your vote for the audience vote, as well as the winner of the 11th hour competition between Plan U and Nail Teak. Keep in mind that Nail Teak and Plan U are also included in the audience vote, so they can also win that $1,000. So if you liked one of the two teams from the 11th hour competition better than our 6 teams in the Launchpad competition, go ahead and vote for them. I'm going to open the voting for 90 seconds now, and we will come back in 90 seconds to close the polls. Okay, we will now close all the voting. And we will welcome back our judges, as well as Professor Tomczyk. So as Professor Tomczyk is tabulating those results, first off, I want to thank everyone that has stayed with us for these 2 hours and watched our students present their businesses. Again, all of them have plans on launching their business in the near future. As you can see, some of them have already launched. So again, thank you for everyone that has stayed, voted, watched, asked questions. I hope you had a good time. This was a culmination of a good 3 months from Professor Tomczyk and I of planning, and it went off without a hitch so far. And again, I want to thank the judges as well. So thank you for your time. And Dave, whenever you're ready, give me the high sign.
I am all set and ready to go. The judges had a great discussion. Although I will say 15 minutes was very intense for talking through 6 different teams, but we have the results. Just a reminder what our teams are competing for. We have $3,000 for first place, $2,000 for second, $1,000 for third, fourth, fifth, and sixth are $500, $500, $250. The 11th hour competition winner, which you voted on, will get $250, and the audience favorite will get $1,000. So thank you everyone for participating. And let's start talking about the winners. And we're going to start out with our 11th hour competition winner, which is Nail Teak. Congratulations to Hunter and Dina for winning the 11th hour competition. They will receive $250, and awesome job, you guys. Next up, we're going to go down to the 6th place winner is Munch with their idea about reinventing restaurant reviews. So excellent job, you guys. The discussion from the judges was really good, and they have some interesting insights to help you guys grow your idea. 5th place, we have Solo Stage VR. There was a really tight competition between 3rd, 4th, and 5th place. So Solo Stage, congratulations. The judges were talking about looking at other ways, other markets that you guys can expand into, and other ways that you guys can really capitalize on the technology that you have. For 4th place, Punched In. The passion that you guys had, the drive was absolutely awesome. The judges were excited to see the possibilities that you came up with for the music space, and they'll be really fun to see how you grow your business. Before we get into the top 3, let's talk about who the audience voted for. And it was a little bit of a runaway. Solo Stage VR, congratulations. The audience thought that your idea was awesome, and you guys will be winning an extra $1,000 on top of your prize money. So that'll be $1,500 total that you guys get to help you start to develop Solo Stage. Next up, in 3rd place, we have Nosta. The judges were, like I said, it was a tough decision between 3rd, 4th, and 5th place, but they really liked the idea and the passion behind it. And they see that there is definitely an ongoing market, a drive for the nostalgic. That's where your name came from. So this is great. Congratulations. You guys have won $1,000 to help you launch Nosta. And now 2nd place, the one-woman team, Faith Ramadan for Hardcore Hippie. Faith, you did an incredible job presenting. The judges loved how solid your idea was and that you had thought through a lot of the logistics. They think that there's going to be some challenges as you grow bigger, and how can you handle all the different responsibilities as you go. But they were really impressed with overall how you did your idea. And for 1st place, that leaves CG Digital. Callum and McCoy, awesome job. You guys will earn $3,000 to help you continue to grow CG Digital. Everyone, thank you again so much for participating. We are so proud of all of our teams. If you want to reach out to any of them for additional questions, for feedback, or if you want to invest in them, absolutely awesome. If you want to participate in this class next year and you're a student, if you are interested in participating as a judge, as in some other volunteer capacity, by all means, reach out to me, reach out to John. We'd love to hear your feedback, ideas, comments, thoughts. And thank you guys so much for spending the past 2 hours with us and our teams who have worked so hard over these past weeks to get everything in place.
Thank you, everybody, and have a great night.